Good evening, and welcome to the February 7th meeting of the City of Vista Planning Commission. Would you all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Commissioner Looney?
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Ms. Leahy, roll call, please.
Chair Rossler,
Here?
Vice Chair Grimm,
Here.
Commissioner Aguilera,
Here.
Commissioner Garrettson,
Here.
Commissioner Hastings,
Here.
Commissioner Looney, Commissioner Savage, Student Commissioner Herrera, Student Commissioner Childs.
Very good. Commissioners, you've been provided with the minutes from our January 17th meeting. If there are no changes to the minutes, can we hear a motion to approve? Commissioner Garrettson.
I move to approve the minutes as written.
Commissioner Grimm.
I would second that motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from our January 17th meeting. All in favor, cast your vote and lock it in. Is it because Commissioner Savage isn't here?
I did.
It-
Must have missed.
The locking isn't locking.
One more time, Gary. Nope. Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes from January 17th, raise your hand. And the motion passes 5 to
Abstain.
1. Commissioner Hastings has to abstain because she was absent. All right. Ms. Chow, any changes to our agenda tonight?
No changes tonight. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the next item on our agenda is oral communications. This is a time that the commission sets aside for members of the public to address the commission on items that are not on our agenda. We need to have a speaker slip filled out. I have none. Anyone wishing to address the commission on items that are not on our agenda? Very good. Then we will move on to our public hearings. Public hearings tonight, staff will give a presentation. The applicant will be afforded a time to add to that presentation or provide additional information. We will have a time of questioning from the Planning Commission of staff and the commissioners. After that's concluded, I will open it up for public comments in the public hearing. When we're finished with that, we'll close the public hearing. That's the end of public comment. And then we'll have discussion amongst the commissioners and take an action. So that's how we'll run tonight. If you wish to speak to the commission on any of the items, we do need a speaker slip and turned in to our recording secretary, Ms. Leahy. So, all right. Our first item is the subdivision at 1790 Knapp Drive, Viking Industries. Mr. Ressler, I believe the staff report's yours.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. The project before you tonight is a tentative subdivision map at 1790 Knapp Drive. The application number is P21-0381. The subject site is 2.37 acres located between North Santa Fe Avenue and Knapp Drive. The project site includes 2 legal parcels, and it's currently developed with 1 single-family home, and the remainder of the lot's currently vacant. Here's a few photographs from North Santa Fe of the site itself. Surrounding land uses include single-family residential to the east, west, and south, as well as multifamily residential to the north. General plan land use designation for the site is medium-density residential. Zoning for the site is R1B, which is single-family residential, minimum lot size of 6,000 square feet. The project before you tonight includes a request for a tentative parcel or subdivision map to subdivide 2.37 acres into 9 single-family residential lots. Those lots would range in size from 6,000 square feet to 14,539 square feet. The project as a whole would maintain a density of 3.79 dwelling units per acre. The project includes drainage improvements, wet and dry utilities, a private street. Although no homes are proposed at this time, future homes would be required to comply with the R1B zoning standards. As I mentioned before, this project includes 9 single-family lots. Those lots will range from 6,000 square feet to 14,539 square feet. The project would maintain a slope lot, which would be located along the main private street access to the site. There's a bioretention basin located at the northwest corner of the site. Access to the site would be provided by a 32-foot wide private street. That private street would provide parking on one side, and based on the submitted map, the on-street parking would be a total of 6 parking spaces. In regards to landscaping, the proposed project meets the landscape ordinance requirements in regards to street trees and slope erosion control. The project would use native and non-native plant material. In regards to general plan consistency, the general plan designation for the site is medium density residential, which allows a maximum density of 10 dwelling units per acre. The proposed project includes 9 single-family lots with a density of 3.79 dwelling units per acre. In regards to zoning, the zoning for the site is R1B with a minimum lot size of 6,000 square feet. The proposed lots, again, range from 6,000 to 14,539. This configuration would be consistent with the surrounding land use and zoning. In regards to drainage and sewer issues, the proposed project would connect to the existing sewer and stormwater system and a proposed storm drain system on site. Ultimately, the storm drain system on site would improve the existing on-site drainage condition. With that, staff is recommending the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving a tentative subdivision map to subdivide 2 existing parcels and totaling approximately 2.37 acres into 9 single-family lots located at 1790 Knapp Drive. That concludes staff's report. The project engineer, Brendan Hofste, is here to answer any questions you might have tonight, but will not provide a formal presentation.
Okay, very good. Any commissioners, any questions of staff or the applicant's engineer? Commissioner Looney?
This is for staff. On page 3 of 40, second paragraph states that a new 8-inch PVC sewer line would be connected to an existing 6-inch sewer line.
That's actually incorrect. It actually, and it indicates that that's going to run to Knapp Drive. The sewer actually goes out to North Santa Fe.
To,
Yeah, so there's clarification on that.
to a larger line than
Yes.
what's the origin is. Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Commissioner Garrettson?
Yes, the sidewalk is on one side, correct?
That's
But
correct.
it does not go in front of the last 2 houses.
You're correct. That's
So those houses, the people walking would walk on the street if they were walking
one
on
home
the street.
would, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Aguilar?
So on page 5 of 40, it says that there's no, basically no changes, substantial changes from the last time this thing,
That would require additional environmental evaluation. You're absolutely correct.
even with the changes in the drainage and all that?
The site itself is pretty much laid out similar to previous. The only major changes I saw were that this includes a private street that turns into a private driveway leading to 2 lots. The previous project included a cul-de-sac with private driveways leading to each lot. The grading quantities in terms of cut and fill and import were relatively close to the same, but there wasn't anything significant from a CEQA standpoint that would require us to do any more evaluation than what was previously done.
Okay, yeah, I remember this project.
I think you were actually chair on the commission at the time.
It was.
Commissioner Grimm.
Yeah, Michael, was there any discussion at all about the density? It is running a little low for the medium density category, although I understand the zoning brings that down a little bit. That was still fine with staff in terms of the,
Yeah, that's correct, because, we would make sure that it meets the minimum lowest density, which would be the 6,000 square foot lot. That's correct.
I mean, it was low in terms of,
There's some inconsistency there in terms of zoning and general
well,
plan.
generally, when you have a housing shortage, you want to kind of keep the density up to the upper end, but
Yeah, but based on the existing land use in terms of single-family residential surrounding the site, it's more conducive to
compatibility issue.
transition to a single-family.
sure, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just wondered if there was a discussion on it. Thank you.
Michael, does the 6-foot tubular steel? Where'd it go? Black tubular steel fence, does that go along North Santa Fe?
No, it does not.
So what's the fencing on, didn't find what the fencing on North Santa Fe was going to look like.
There will not be a fence along North Santa Fe. This was something the staff brought up to the applicant. They chose not to include a fence along that frontage. The only wall or fence would be the retaining wall that's being provided. Other than that, there is no barrier along North Santa Fe. Let me rephrase that. There's actually a security fence that would go around the bioretention basin, but other than that, along the property boundaries, no, there wouldn't be a fence located.
So if these are sold off and the individual homeowner wants to put up a fence up in his backyard, he's free to do that.
Independently, correct.
I have a problem with that, the inconsistency of fences along our major arterials. So anyway, we'll discuss that. So, all right, any other questions of staff? All right, this is a public hearing. I have no speaker slips. Anyone wishing to address the commission on the subdivision? Okay, I will close the public hearing and open it up to commission discussion. One of the things that has always bugged me about our town, in the past, there wasn't homeowners association to maintain fences that back up to our major arterials. And we get a whole hodgepodge of fences that are in various states of repair and maintenance. So I would either like to, it depends on how the rest of the commission feels, either have a condition that says no fences, and that goes in the CC&Rs, or that they put up they continue the tubular steel fence along the back line, so it's a continuation of the one that's proposed, and that it's maintained by the HOA. So that's where I'm at. Commissioner Garrettson.
What is the fencing like on either side on Santa Fe? I don't recall what that looked like.
Yeah, not actually. On the other side, I know we have a single-family neighbor. Let me see if I can't. Here, we've got the boundary wall to the neighborhood to the southwest, the open space, a boundary wall along the housing development to the northwest. Other than that, it's a mixed match condition surrounding the site to the southeast.
Commissioner Aguilar?
Yeah, just to answer his question, I drive that quite often. I live not far from there, but it's a lot of chain link fence, some wood fence. The Adobe Estates has a nice wall. So it is a mismatch, yeah.
Any other thoughts? Commissioner Grimm?
Yeah, I'd like to see, some form of fence in there. I think if you put no fencing in there, it really limits what the property owner and the future property owner can do there. And they may want to fence their property and can't. So I would at least, want some kind of fencing, within that area. I don't want to make it, a solid wall or something where it just costs the developer so much money it becomes difficult. But, there must be some form of nice fence that can run the length of that property. I don't know, maybe the developer should come up and discuss that.
Is the engineer here? Would you join us? Do you understand our concern about the fencing along North Santa Fe?
Correct.
Apparently, I think there's enough concern on the commission that we're going to have some type of fencing. Do you have an idea of what your client could live with?
Sorry, what was the question?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, what was the question?
Whether they could live with extending the proposed tubular steel fence along North Santa Fe.
Yeah, I mean, they can propose fencing during the final design of the project. That's not a problem.
Okay. All right. Is that okay with the rest of the commission? All right. Commissioner Aguilar, did you have another comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say I'd prefer not a solid fence, because I don't want to make it an art project
Okay.
for our youth. So the tubular fence would be best.
Okay. You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to, let's see, to approve the project on Knapp Drive subdivision by Viking Industries with the extension of the fence or added fence as submitted.
Commissioner Garrettson.
What I heard was extending the proposed 5-foot-tall black tubular fencing along the west boundary of the site.
Correct. West boundary of the site on North Santa Fe. Yep.
Commissioner Garrettson.
I second the motion.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the project with the added condition for the fencing. Please cast your vote and lock it in, hopefully. No? Okay. We have one commissioner that's missing tonight, and that seems to be affecting our voting. Okay. All right. All in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All right. And it passes unanimously of the commission members here. Thank you very much. All right. Mr. Winters, are you ready? All right, our next public hearing is another tentative map, the Simons 7-lot subdivision, and Mr. Winters, the staff report's yours. Is your mic on?
Button here. Thank you. Now it is. This is for the second public hearing item, the Simon 7-lot tentative subdivision map. The applicant is Robert Simon, and it's file number P220113. This slide shows the project location. It's approximately 500 feet southeast of the intersection of Olive Avenue and Grapevine Road. It's at the northern terminus of Earth Drive and Galaxy Drive and towards the western end of Bluegrass Road. The existing property is predominantly vacant except for a small shed structure that was on the western end built prior to a previous subdivision. The site overall, 1.46 acres, and private access would connect to the existing public streets south of the property, as will be shown on the following slides. In summary, the subdivision map includes the subdivision of one existing parcel to create 6 residential lots and 1 detention basin lot. Stormwater improvements and landscape slopes would be conditioned as part of the project requirements. HOA would be required for maintenance of the private drainage improvements and the detention and basin. The project complies with the existing general plan and zoning designations for the site as proposed, so there would be no general plan or zone change for the project. This slide shows the existing general plan designation of medium-low density residential, which allows for up to 5 units per acre maximum. It's also corresponding to the R1 zone, which allows for minimum 10,000 square foot of properties. The subdivision map would include lots ranging from 10,000 square feet to the largest one at 11,198 square feet in size. As I mentioned, density would be 4.1 units per acre, and it would comply with all of the development standards upon construction for the R1 zone and meet the minimum lot size, 10,000 square feet. The lot 7, the detention basin lot, is shown at the lower right hand of the side. The site topography slopes down from lot 6 to lot 1, generally towards the southeast. So upon development and grading, there would be approximately a 5 to 6 foot change in pad elevation as you move from the west towards the east. This slide shows a conceptual landscape plan, calls out the basin area, which would be landscaped and maintained by an HOA, and the existing or the proposed driveway access for lots 4, 5, and 6 that would connect to the northern end of Earth Drive, lots 1, 2, and 3 that would connect to the northern end of Galaxy Drive. There would be no connection to Bluegrass Road to the east. There would be no connection to the north to Olive Avenue. The project is exempt from environmental review as an infill development project because it's surrounded by existing urban land uses. The project site is consistent with the general plan and zoning designation. It's less than 5 acres in size. The property has no value as habitat for endangered species. Approval of the project would not result in any significant environmental effects related to traffic, noise, air quality, or water quality. And the site can be served by existing utilities. Staff's recommendation is that there be one added condition for the existing shed located on the western end of the project site, as shown in the parcel map sheet 2 of 6 existing conditions, that it should be removed prior to the recordation of a final map. It's for zoning reasons. Generally, you don't have an accessory structure where you don't have a primary use on the property. Staff's recommendation is to adopt a resolution approving the tentative subdivision map, divide the one existing parcel into 6 single-family residential lots, 1 detention basin lots, and with the associated improvements on the vacant site located next to Bluegrass Road, parcel number 162-22163, inclusive of the additional condition of approval. The property owner, the applicant, Robert Simon, and his engineer are present to answer any questions along with staff. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Any questions of staff and/or the applicant? Commissioner Garrettson?
The retention basin, Chris, how close is that to the house just outside of this property line? Did you say the property slopes in that direction?
That's correct.
So that house just south of there is below the retention basin?
That is correct. And the project would include a retaining wall on the southern portion of that basin.
And the drainage would go in which direction?
It would go into the basin, and then it would be dispersed into an underground pipe that would connect to the city storm drain system.
On, where would that drainage go again? What storm drainage? Would that go over to Galaxy or?
It would connect with, adjacent to Galaxy Drive, that's correct.
But no danger of the basin overflowing and having a negative impact on the house next door?
I think I should probably ask the project engineer to address the more details on that question. Projects are required to handle the stormwater flow for impervious surface that's added to the site. Generally, existing stormwater flows go in the same direction that they did prior to the development, but cannot exceed what they did previously. That's the responsibility of the project development.
Okay.
Do you want to hear from Mr. Lowen?
Yes.
Mr. Lowen, would you join us and tell us about your drainage basin?
Good evening, Commissioners. How y'all doing?
Good.
Okay, so Dave Lowen, ACAL Engineering, 221 Main Street here in Vista. The detention basin is roughly 5 feet lower than Lot 1 than the pad on Lot 1. So there's no, the finished surface of the pad is 367 elevation, and the finished surface of the detention basin is 362.6.
How about the existing lot, single-family lot on Galaxy Drive to the south?
Okay, I'm sorry, say that again?
The existing single-family home that's on Galaxy Drive south of the detention basin? Where does the water flow when it leaves the?
To the east. There's, it doesn't show up very well in the slide there, but the low point, the drainage goes to the south, to the east and to the south, between the homes that are on the east side of Galaxy and the other side of the drainage basin, it heads to the south.
Okay, so the water coming out of the detention basin flows to a public facility that?
That flows to an existing drainage course, correct?
Okay, all right.
Correct.
So the drainage for all 6 lots go to that drainage, to that basin?
Yes, yes.
And that's kind of the way it is now?
State requirement. We have to detain the, you understand, the post-development runoff.
But that's the way it drains now. We're not
Correct.
really changing the drainage.
You're not diverting any water.
Okay, I was just concerned about that one house or 2
I
there.
understand.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Hastings.
I'm just trying to figure out the drawings. Sometimes I'm not so good with the elevation. It almost looks like each of these lots has a knoll, or the pad is set up from the one next to it.
Well, the property, as planner Chris Winters mentioned, the property slopes fairly gently from west to east. So we're just following the terrain with the pads. There's no high point. The high point is at the west end of the property.
It's just that each of these lots in this picture seems to be really defined by this landscaping in these ellipses, or whatever they are.
It's an infill project. The lots are rather peculiarly shaped. It's not
But the landscaping seems to contain the pad more than the lot does. The lots are bigger than that. Am I not reading that right?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think what she's asking is that there's a circular area for each lot that's surrounded by landscaping.
Slopes and landscape slopes, yeah,
Okay, so all the landscaping is on slopes?
correct.
Okay.
All right.
So, all right, does that help?
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Commissioner Looney?
Thank you. On that adjacent lot, south of the retention basin, we've got a pad elevation of roughly 363 and a half. I'm looking at the survey. And then lot 7, we have an FS at 362.6.
Correct.
So FS is that face of, what is FS?
So what you're probably driving at is that lot to the south is only about a foot higher.
Right.
Well, the detention basin is built to handle the Q100, 100-year flow. And there is an outfall to allow it to drain if it exceeds that.
So,
But if it goes beyond Q100 to Q200, Q500,
Yeah.
somebody help us all.
so the grade is at 362, but we've got that whole system under.
That's correct. That's the way they're built.
One last point. I looked at this property probably 4 or 5 years ago. Very creative in how you split these up and how you took care of the drainage and how you took care of the sewer. So I commend you.
All the easy stuff has been built out. We're dealing with all these remnants, and you engineers have to be creative.
And think outside the box when you're doing lot splits. It just,
Appreciate that.
Very good. Any other questions of staff or the applicant? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. I will open up. I have no speaker slips other than Mr. Simon and Mr. Lowen. Mr. Simon, I take it you don't need to address us tonight? Okay, all right. Anyone else? All right, I will close the public hearing and open it up to commissioner discussion. Commissioner Grimm?
Well, I'm going to try something since this is a pretty simple project and there was no neighborhood opposition. I would move staff recommendation.
All right. Commissioner Grimm has moved staff recommendation. Do we have a second? Commissioner Aguilar?
I'll second it.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the tentative subdivision map for Simon.
Chairman Rossler, Chris Winters on staff, just clarifying that it
Your
includes
additional condition.
the added condition. Thank you.
Your motion includes the additional condition. Thank you. Should we do a hand vote again? All right. All in favor of approving the tentative subdivision map? And it passes 6-0 with Commissioner Savage absent. All right. That concludes our public hearings. And we're going on to a discussion item. It's an early design review. This is something that I did it again. I forgot to call it. The student commissioners, you didn't have any questions, did you, or comment? All right, thank you. Early design review is a process that the city has for applicants to come and submit projects to the commission that come right to the planning commission. They have not been analyzed by staff, and so there's no input. This is an opportunity to give early input to the applicant and his design team on how we see the project, and so they can go off and have pretty good confidence that their final project will be approved. Mr. Winters, or I'm sorry, Rafi, your staff report, please.
Of course. Good evening, Chairman Rossler, commissioners, staff, and members of the public. It is my pleasure to present to you tonight early design review for Santa Fe Terraces, permit number P220403. Purpose of the EDR is to provide an opportunity for the Planning Commission to review the initial proposal and provide preliminary advisory comments to the project applicant. The proposal has not been routed for or fully reviewed by all city staff. is reviewed only in terms of basic zoning compliance. Applicant will answer specific questions about the project design and the thought process behind the initial proposal. No formal vote or action is required or necessary for an EDR item. Project scope. Application is for a preliminary proposal to develop a mixed-use project consisting of 40 condominium units and 3 commercial tenant spaces on a 0.74-acre site located at 546 South Santa Fe Avenue at the intersection of Terrace Drive and South Santa Fe Avenue. APNs numbers 179-040-28, 29, 30, 31, and 50. Located on the northeast corner of South Santa Fe Avenue and Terrace Drive, the site is currently developed with 1 commercial building and a parking lot. Proposed site improvements include a 5-story building with associated covered and uncovered parking, 1 access drive from Terrace Drive, and 1 access drive from South Santa Fe Avenue. Parking along the existing alleyway is also being proposed, including perimeter landscaping, private patios, and common amenities. This is a map of the current project's location, currently zoned Downtown Vista Specific Plan, Paseo Santa Fe District. This is an aerial photo of the existing site looking northwest. Surrounding land uses include to the west mixed-use developments with 5-story buildings such as Terrace Lofts with 42 residential units. To the east, there is an existing bungalow court with 6 residential units built in 1931, zoned the same as the subject site. To the north, there is an alley and a mix of single-family and 2-family residential units zoned RM10, built between 1950s, 70s, and 80s. And to the south is a cluster of small commercial buildings built through the 1930s, 70s, and 80s as well. Paseo Artist Village is also located across the street with 60 apartment units and 3 commercial tenant spaces. Proposed project specifics. Mixed-use building includes 29 1-bedroom and 11 2-bedroom floor plans ranging from 674 square feet to 1,412 square feet. Proposed density is 50 dwelling units per acre. Zoning allows for 40 dwelling units per acre. Height is 5 stories, roughly 59.5 feet tall. Maximum allowed is 60 feet tall. Parking, 70 spaces are provided, 68 spaces are required, divided between 46 residential and 22 commercial spaces. Open space, 8,000 square feet is required. Applicant is providing 8,495 square feet. This includes private balconies, art gardens, indoor gym, recreation room, terraces, pool, and landscaping. Project is submitted per state density bonus law 65915. This is the proposed site plan, which includes the main 5-story building, surrounding parking areas, drive aisles, commercial spaces, and the art garden. This is a proposed common open space. As noted, 8,000 square feet is required, 8,495 is being provided. And this is a more detailed view of the open spaces. This includes the pool deck with cabanas, art gardens with seating areas, residential terrace, and the exercise and activity room. The architectural style is coastal modern architecture with a mixture of organic materials consisting of stone, stucco, wood, metal siding, and roll-up and sliding doors. The front elevation along South Santa Fe Avenue will include materials such as stone siding, green horizontal wood siding, Silverado color stucco, medium bronze corrugated metal siding, roll-up garage doors with a bronze frame, and translucent panels, and bronze aluminum sliding doors with windows. The south elevation would be similar to the west and east elevations in colors and materials. The recessed areas provide numerous windows and doors with balconies that provide views of South Santa Fe Avenue and the surrounding area. There would be a great deal of facade articulation on the street side facade of the building. The undulating walls and pop-outs would create shadow lines and interest along South Santa Fe Avenue. This is a rear north elevation consisting of mostly residential balconies and covered parking areas. The facade on this elevation will mostly be stucco with elements of horizontal wood siding. The balconies would have either balcony metal railing or glass panels. There will be one private residential garage with a roll-up garage door with translucent panels. As noted, materials will consist of sliding aluminum doors, windows, roll-up garage doors with bronze frame, corrugated metal siding, colored medium bronze, stone siding, vertical and horizontal wood siding, and stucco. This is a first floor plan, which allows a covered parking areas on the north side of the building, residential storage areas, a lobby area, and 3 commercial tenant spaces with outdoor patio seating. The second floor shows the residential units, second floor area of the commercial ground floor, and the pool deck with cabanas. This is the third floor plan with residential units and their corresponding balconies, which is equivalent to the floor plan for the fourth floor. And this is a fifth floor plan that shows the exercise recreation room and the outdoor residential terrace, along with residential units and their balconies. Staff requests that the Planning Commission provide comments to the applicant related to the proposed design. No formal vote or action on this item is needed at this time. Applicant is here with a presentation as well.
Very good. Can we hear from the applicant then?
Oh, yeah.
Can you, my name is Tom Sanford. I'm the project designer, and the owner developer, Roy Salome, is here as well. He also owns the properties east of there, the 6 original bungalows and a couple of the lots south, as well as some other properties in Vista that we may be here in a year or two with. So anyways, just a general overview of kind of our thinking with the project that led to some of the design features and trying to be consistent with the general specific plan for the area. I don't want to say unlike, but maybe more so than some of the other projects in that area. We want to promote commercial use and have an anchor restaurant, brewery type tenant on that northwest corner. That's kind of what's led to the 2-story design with kind of the upstairs and downstairs are designed to be contiguous spaces for one tenant with a second floor terrace, first floor patio, kind of really draw attention to that area and sort of be an anchor for our project as well as some of the other surrounding projects. Also, as we move to the east or southeast, the other projects, we really wanted to kind of accentuate the artisan loft kind of idea of having the potential for some, smaller business, artists, tradespeople, cabinet maker, furniture maker, to have interactive, smaller ground floor retail, commercial spaces with potential to even live or work above, have a live-work type situation with the other units down there. And then on the anchored on the southeast corner would be more of a lobby entry, kind of interacting the residential with the street, kind of an area to approach from the street. The parking, we are utilizing 2 levels of parking. We have kind of traditional parking coming in from Terrace Drive with some parking under the building, some parking along the north side that actually has 2-level parking. So there's about 12 feet of grade difference between Santa Fe and the alley behind. So I don't know if you've studied the cross sections, but the alley parking would actually have a sort of a concrete parking structure that parked over the parking that comes in underneath it. It's probably more parking than ideally we would want to do, but because we're basically using the majority of the first floor for commercial space, we need a lot of that parking to kind of make our parking count for the commercial areas. The residential units, we're kind of aiming a little higher. We have I think about 10 or 11 different floor plans, 1 and 2 bedrooms, targeting multiple potential users, professionals, local neighborhood clienteles, families, students, where it could be, more traditional kind of family living or more single professional student type living. So, and then upstairs, we have provided a lot of residential amenities with a second level pool deck, as well as a 5th floor terrace with the kind of the things people expect, the fire pits and kind of the lounge seating areas, as well as a pretty large exercise room, all of which would have nice views and kind of interact with the general area. One thing one correction, we presented this as multifamily. I think the original thing said condos. We're not applying for a condo map. It's just a multifamily project for the residential side. And I think that's about it that I can think of right now. I'll go through a couple of the slides just to show you a few things here. Whoops. So large second floor commercial terrace, which we have, the owner has been in the restaurant business before. I know a lot of people in the brewing industry. I think there's been an expressed desire of having some second floor potential dining restaurant areas that are connected with the street and the ground floor as well. That's the intent of that space in the bottom left. And then it would be kind of matched by a similar residential space on the bottom right, which would be more for the private residences. I think that's about it. I think as he mentioned before, we've tried to maximize outdoor space, balconies, private balconies, along with public terraces, pool areas, art gardens, in the general spirit of what the specific plan's asking for. So I think that's it.
Okay, very good. Hang on just a second. Questions for staff or the applicant? Commissioner Garrison.
Are you anticipating a bicycle storage area?
Yeah, I don't know if it's specifically shown, but one of the amenities that we do propose, and it could be kind of reworked, is we have a considerable amount of private storage area. I think if you even look, if you look in the middle of that diagram on the 5th floor, those are probably because we didn't have enough, but most of them are on the ground floor. Is there any way to reverse this? Oh, there we go. Let me go backwards. So if we go back to, oops, no, not there. There. So if you kind of see in the middle of the design, there's a bunch of small kind of boxes with doors. Those are all private storage lockers that are pretty considerable in sizes, 5 by 7, 6 by 8, some are 6 by 12, way exceeding kind of the minimum of what one would expect. I don't know if we specifically show bicycle parking, but that is something that could definitely be accommodated, whether it was private or open.
Because eventually you're going to have the rail trail going right a block away. So that would be a great amenity.
We will definitely work that into the plan.
Okay. Anyone else? Do the plans show a driveway entrance onto South Santa Fe?
Yes, so it's where the existing entry is, so it'd be kind of in the bottom right, next to the open space.
All right.
It's possible that, and we hadn't discussed this with staff, but I think they wanted the primary entry to be off Terrace. And it would lend itself to that being exit only, if that was preferred for,
Okay, all right.
but mainly for fire circulation, we wanted to have the open, not have a dead end, but that could have some, or no left turns in or out. I mean, there's some options there.
Your Unit 5A is what some people would consider a dual master. Both bedrooms have ensuite bathrooms. And I'm a little concerned, I've always been concerned about parking for those types of units. And I know because of the density bonus and state law that we can't comment on it, but I'm going to be very interested to see your management plan for parking when you submit the project. You've got commercial and residential parking spaces, and we want to know how that's going to be managed when you come in.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I don't know if we had like kind of connected that as far as some of the reduction in parking and then the two-bedroom dual masters, which do lend itself to potentially two separate entities living there.
But you understand my concern?
Yeah, exactly. I understand your concern.
All right. You're going to have 3 affordable units in the
Correct.
project?
Yes.
Units 9, 10, and 11?
That's what's proposed, yes.
Okay. Will you participate in any other affordable housing programs?
We would be open to considering that.
You'll accept Section 8 vouchers?
Potentially, I would have to defer to the owner on that.
Okay.
I think those laws change every month, so I can't say for sure, but.
One thing I was concerned about, especially for Unit 34, it seems it wraps around 3 sides of the elevator. How are you going to deal with noise from the elevator in those units?
I think, so 34 would be on the fourth?
Well, 23 has it also, but.
Probably be the third, on the third and fourth floors.
Yeah.
I think the designs show, obviously the elevator shaft would be, have to be fire rated. But I also think the walls that are shown are probably thicker than necessary. I think they're probably shown at 8 or 10 inches to allow
Okay.
for extra soundproofing measures.
Okay, so you have taken that. Will you have solar on the roof?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't know if it's shown, but I think that we are going to be required to that, and the EV parking requirements will have to be met.
The perspective that you showed us was a lot better than the copies that we've got. My initial reaction to your color palette was it was kind of bland.
Right.
And all the same, this had a bit more life to it. I would suggest that you look to the Paseo Artist Village and how they dealt with color, especially on the back side of their unit where their railings are all red. I thought that was a good design feature for them. So I would encourage you to maybe brighten it up a little bit.
A lighter, maybe a potentially lighter color in some of that area, as well as maybe some mixture in the window or balcony colors.
Okay. Unless I missed them, I didn't have cross-sections in my set of plans, and I think that's a very good idea for us to understand how the project works and relates to the single-family neighborhood.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it's shown on these slides. I think on the elevations, the two-dimensional elevations, which I didn't put a slide in, it did show kind of how it interacts with the alley. But I don't know if we have a slide for that. Yeah, let's see if we have that. But it was kind of a combination of section
Okay.
on an elevation.
All right.
I think it was to kind of show sort of what's happening along
We're
that alley residential perimeter.
We're going to be interested in the single-family homes to the north and how they relate to your building.
Right, maybe Carrie even show them kind of
Okay.
in this section.
Rick,
or
that's
rendering.
shown on A33, that section at the bottom of the sheet.
See,
It shows the relationship of the alley,
maybe you could go back one.
parking space. off
There,
the
you
alley,
kind of can
and then the
see,
tuck
but
under.
it doesn't show
Oh, I see.
the exact, but you kind of can see what the parking's doing there. It's on that bottom right corner. You have the lower ground floor level, the Santa Fe level, with column coming down, and then you would park above that with some planters to kind of break up the landscape.
I would suggest that you extend the cross-section to the north and show us the relationship with the single-family homes.
Definitely.
Okay? Commissioner Aguilar, did you have additional comments or questions?
Yes, my comment would be not interested in Section 8. So just not interested in going down that road. But parking, to me, looks like it could be somewhat of an issue just because of the I think you're looking at doing a restaurant there. So a lot of times when we have commercial use, you have shared parking essentially with commercial and the apartments. But when you have a restaurant, it's going to be nighttime use as well, I'm guessing. right?
Correct.
So that's definitely something to consider. And then traffic circulation would be another one, how we enter and exit that property. And just a minor note, a lot of your paperwork here references South Santa Fe, and it's Paseo Santa Fe.
Correct. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice project.
Thank you.
All right. Our purpose here tonight is to provide the applicant with input on the design. So are there any additional comments on the site plan or the project layout? Okay, everybody happy? How about landscaping and the amenities? Okay, and parking and traffic? We mentioned that previous, I think, probably have a handle on that. And then the architecture. Any comments on the architecture?
I just have one, and that's on the east elevation. At the left side, we have a four-story structure, or four-story wall that's somewhat blank.
Okay, that would be on, yes, so that's not this, I think
That's
this
the
is
north
probably labeled
elevation.
the
Let's look
south
at the,
elevation, but that would
east
be the one
elevation.
facing the parking,
Yes.
the longer, let's see, wait, there it was. One more. There it
There we
is,
go.
yes.
Um,
So on the left
and
side
on the
there.
left,
Yeah,
where we have the single garage door.
yes.
I think we could add some embellishment to that.
I think it's a good point, yeah.
And I think the introduction of some color, some accent color, I think would be worth considering.
Yeah, we'll do a little better job. I think these are a little muted, but I also think we can work with some embellishments as well.
Yeah, you can. And I think it's a strong project. I think it's a good project. I like the way that you've terraced the mass scene on the north end, especially at that intersection, rather than, because it has a tendency to become quite boxy.
Correct.
But the way that you've begun to play with the massing and put it at different levels, that's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think we really wanted to accentuate that northwest corner because it's very visual. And by not covering, the first floor is covered by the terrace, but then not covering the rest of it really helps kind of
Right.
what you're talking about. So,
But add some embellishments to that east elevation at the left side, and I think you'll have a much stronger project.
yeah.
Commissioner Grimm?
Point.
Yeah, if you'd hold just a second, I have a question for Rafi first. The other buildings that we've approved in the last few years that are built, what are the stories on those, number of stories on the 3 buildings around there?
The terrace lofts, I believe, is about 5 stories, and same with the Paseo Artist Village.
Okay, so this is compatible with, very consistent with it. The other thing is I had a question for the developer. It's not a deal killer for me, but just there's a large number of one-bedroom units. Did you consider having more two-bedroom units here?
Yeah, we've kind of gone back and forth with that. I think it was more kind of a response to sort of where we thought the marketplace was, but, you know, that's not, we're open to it. I mean, it's not something, it's, again, I think it was just trying to meet the market, talking to the property owner that just finished, I'm not sure what the name of the one right on the other side of Terrace is, but the owners know each other, but he was strongly advising more one-bedroom units because that seemed to be what was renting better. So that was kind of really what we were basing it on. But other than that, we're open to having some flexibility.
Okay, you may want to think about that. The last thing I just wanted to say is a positive is that this is another piece to the puzzle of the Paseo Santa Fe corridor. And if you look down there and you drive down there at night, it's still, I wouldn't say there's people, you know, just engaging into the street or anything, but it's getting better. And I think each piece that we put in, you're going to get more and more people that are engaging with the street. And I don't know if you were around and remember what it was like 15
Yeah,
years ago.
it's
but
changed
there'd
a
be
lot.
guy with a beer sitting on the sidewalk with a brown bag, and it's really coming along great. And I think this is another piece in that puzzle.
Yeah, we're excited about it, and just what's even happened in the last 5 years is pretty dynamic. And I think we have kind of sort of tried to realize that there's potential to do more, like instead of just providing kind of straight housing that, you know, kind of embellish the commercial potential restaurant, the live work, as well as having a kind of a dynamic residential community where, you know, there's some interaction with the commercial between the residential. Like, I mean, I think it's very attractive. And again, the owner having experience in restaurants and owner, we likely will try to even partner with someone early on for the restaurant space. And I think that becomes a big draw for the people that live there to have kind of that energy, as well as the other buildings around there. So that's our goal, and then kind of build off of that.
Well, if this works for the owner, I'll hope he'll be back with the other property.
Yeah.
Commissioner Aguilar?
Yeah, so sounds like you've done some market research. So what's the difference between rents on a 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom?
Gosh, I don't know, it changes all the time, but
Ballpark.
I think that Roy, what was?
Too much.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was more than people were expecting when they built them. So, so it's a healthy market, and I have every indication that it's going to stay that way. And a very diverse tenant group, I think, from the people we've talked to. It's a lot of everything. Single professionals, professional couples, younger, older, students, people that already live in the area that are looking for a change. So we're hopefully going to accommodate all of that.
Because I think I know a lot of younger professionals will rent 2 bedrooms, split the rent. I mean, it's $1,600 or $1,500 each rather than one
Right.
$2,500 rent. So, I mean, I think that makes a good case for that. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments for the applicant? Very good. You have any questions for us? You understand our comments, our
I think
concerns?
so, definitely. Yeah, I think they're all well taken. So we will go to work and be back here in a few months.
Okay, very good.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah.
Commissioners, student commissioners, any comments on the project? Peter?
Just a general comment on mixed use. I just think this sort of project is what cities like Vista need to make it more walkable and accessible to pedestrians who would prefer to walk or can't. I know if I had more food options near like where I lived on foot, I would drive a lot less. So I think these sorts of projects can help make a city feel more accessible. So I think it's cool that we're prioritizing construction for them.
Very good. Gasani?
I'm usually not for tall buildings, but I actually really like this one. And I think with a little bit more pop of color, I think it's going to really bring value to Vista.
Very good. Thank you. All right. If there's nothing more on this item, we'll move on to reports from the commissioners. Any comments from the commissioners tonight? None? It's not a public hearing. Ms. Chow, your report, since Mr. Connolly's not here.
Yes, good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. We will have a meeting on February 21st. There are 3 items so far on that agenda, so please mark your calendars. I did set up the pre-meetings for the 15th as far as a pre-discussion on that, just in case you have questions on that. And please don't forget to RSVP for the Planning Commission City Council dinner, which is scheduled to be on the February 15th, that evening at Vista Village Pub. And just to let you know, there are some up-and-coming meetings about the General Plan Update 2050. There will be tentatively right now at City Council, February 28th, meeting on the General Plan Update. There will be a follow after that meeting before the Planning Commission, kind of a repeat of what happens at City Council on February 28th. And just to let you know, there will also be some additional outreach meetings in the community in each of the council districts towards the end of March, around March 20th through the 23rd. So just if you want to pencil that in on your calendars, just to be aware of that. But I'm sure there'll be more information coming out on that and also on our website about these upcoming meetings. And that's pretty much what I have.
Okay. Any questions for staff? All right. If there's nothing further, we are adjourned to February 21st. And the students from Rancho can approach and we'll sign your forms now.